There is a nap tactic that I've been playing with in a few games for a while now, and I did make a short video about it, and you guys asked me to share the tactic with you, but there's a reason why I haven't already done that, and in this video I'm going to explain to you why. I feel the tactic isn't perfect, and I'm going to share with you the problems that I found using that nap tactic, and I'm also going to share with you the situations where you can actually go ahead and use the tactic in this video. So now we're currently in my Atletico Madrid save, and we've won the league with a goal difference of 116 and 98 points. I think it's a better season I had. It wasn't really down to the tactics. I kind of used three systems when I played here, and most of those wins came from other tactics, not really the nap system, but I'm going to explain to you where the nap system was really useful. So here's the nap tactic that I'm talking about. I did find it in one of Josh Daly's videos. It's quite an interesting tactic in the sense that it's going to teach you a lot about Football Manager and how the game actually works when you go overload like this. I'll share with you some of the instructions and the player rules and all the team instructions. You can see most of them here, but we've head over to the schedule now real quick, and I'm just going to scroll. I'm going to find those games that we went on to had good, very good victories. Now in this game that I went on to win 11-0 against Leones, I wasn't actually using the nap system, honestly. I actually used a very generic 4-3-3 to actually get this amazing result. But where I learned a lot about this system was in the game against Real Madrid. You can see that we went on to draw the game 4-4. Now I'll be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to actually beat Real Madrid, but the fact that we went on to score 4 goals against them, it says a lot. But we also conceded 4 goals, which wasn't really good for me. It just summarizes the tactic in all. If you're playing against a very good team like Real Madrid, you might go ahead and struggle if you're not careful playing with that system, and I'm going to explain to you why that happens. But against Real Hispales was where I found out like a lot more is the fact that Hispales were defending really well, and with that system, with that nap tactic, we struggled to actually break them down. Most of our goals came in the second half when I went on to make changes to the system, and I'm going to show you how that actually works. Against Chelsea, I went on to switch the system completely to a different one, and we ended up beating Chelsea by 5-1. And if you look at this game, most of our goals came in the second half when I went on to make changes to that tactic. So not that the tactic isn't good in itself, it's just that at some point against some very elite sides, you might struggle to beat them, and especially teams that defend really well, you're going to struggle to actually beat them. It's why I went on to make the short video about the tactic. Notwithstanding, it's still a good system. I'm going to show you to you guys how it actually works. Now, most of your players are in attack. The team is actually split into 5 and 5. So you have 5 attackers, but if you look at the 2 wing backs, they actually have automatic duty. Wing backs on automatic with an attacking mentality is going to mean that your wing backs are both playing on attack. So you can count the 5 players in attack and the 2 wing backs. That's going to be 7 players in attack. The roaming playmaker is not really a defensive midfielder, so that's another problem that I had with the system. And you can notice that this guy, you can also count him as an attacker in the system. So that's basically 8 players up front, and you have only 2 players that are actually defending. So for an overload tactic, this is a bit excessive. If you're playing against a very good team, you're going to concede a lot of goals, but that is the way the tactic is, and it's sort of like a system that you're going to use towards the latter stages of the game, and you realize that you badly need a goal. The AI may struggle to defend against this towards the latter stages of the game, so you can go ahead and throw this in case you want to get a quick goal, or you want to score a lot of goals and then try to defend. So you can switch to this, and then once you're done scoring your goals, hopefully you get a few goals, you can go ahead to switch to something a bit more solid, a bit more defensive, and then use that to try and protect the lead. So each of these players have their own internal player instructions. You can look at the goalkeeper. First of all, just the tackle harder instruction. Ball playing defenders have the generic instructions, which is the dribble more, and the tackle harder instructions. Pretty meta, pretty standard, nothing too different. The wing backs, on the other hand, have identical instruction. Okay, slightly identical instructions, I guess. One is going to take more risks, cross more often, cross on the byline, dribble more, run wide with the ball, get further forward, and tackle harder. While the wing back on the right hand side only has one instruction assigned to him, which is the stay wider instruction. So everything from the wing back on the left plus stay wider instruction for the wing back on the right. The roaming playmaker which is a defensive midfielder in this sense. He's not playing in central midfield, he's playing in DM. He's going to move into channels, which is another problem because he's basically going to get into the box as well. So all you have in your DM position, there's literally nobody protecting your defense, so you're just open. Basically, your roaming playmaker is going to move into channels and then tackle harder as well. And 2 attacking midfielders in this sense, one on support, the other also on support. They have the same instructions: take more risk, dribbling more, tackling harder. In front, you have 3 strikers, 2 complete forwards, 1 on attack and 1 on support. They both have tackle harder instructions. And then the central striker is an advanced forward with only tackle harder instructions. Now, if you look at the out of possession instruction, everything is maxed out. Much more often trigger press, prevent the short goalkeeper distribution. The team is stepping up despite having a much higher defensive line and a high press. They're also inviting crosses, and I'll be honest with you, there's literally nobody here, so I don't know why this instruction is actually selected. Most of the time, I noticed that it didn't really mean anything, so I just kind of take it off if I wanted. They're also getting stuck in, but I think that applies with every player instruction. That's most of the players have tackle harder instructions selected, so it doesn't really make much difference having get stuck in there. It's almost like a team instruction that says everybody should tackle harder. In transition, then basically everything you see in meta: counter press, counter, distribute it quickly, and also roll it out to the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper is going to roll it out to somebody, but they haven't actually selected who that person is going to be. Considering that you have only 2 central defenders, it might just be the central defenders because your wing back is not going to be that close. The goalkeeper is likely going to always roll the ball to these guys. In attack, everything is still meta, very much narrow width, and I think, to be honest with you, this is a very huge problem with how this tactic is actually set up. Considering the fact that you have 3 central strikers, everybody is already narrow as it is. The only players that are playing out wide are the wing backs on automatic duty. So it really didn't make much sense to me why they were playing so narrow. And especially with the fact that when I went to the schedule, if you look at the Real Betis game, that is kind of what that's what flipped the switch for me, because in the whole first half we were playing narrow against Real Betis. We were not able to create anything because they were too compact, they were too defensive. We were not able to break them down. Once I went into the second half, I just considered that is the only problem I was noticing during the match. I just switched it from a narrow width to a fairly wide attacking width, and then went on to bang a few more goals and win the game 3-0. So actually just using a meta tactic and not knowing how tactics work could be a problem. So just being able to fix that, was able to like see what was the main issue here with this system. Very narrow with everybody compressed into the middle. Didn't really make much sense for me. In football, you need space, and it's the same thing in Football Manager. You need to have a lot of space if you're going to create chances. They're also focusing the play down the left and the right hand flank, but you notice that I think that makes some sense. Maybe that's why you're going to get some width with the wing backs being on automatic and all, but I didn't really notice much with having this instruction selected. Shorter passing, higher tempo, running at the defense, and then playing low crosses. This is also another problem I had. I don't really need to have low crosses because my best center forward is actually a 6'4", 6'3" center forward. Let me just go and bring him in here. Christopher Albridge. Everyone is on holiday now, but if you look at Albridge, he's 6'5". So imagine playing a tactic where you have low crosses and your striker is 6'5". That didn't really make much sense for me, so I took it off immediately. I always leave mine on mixed crosses. So in case you're wondering which systems did I actually use to get a lot more goals in the game, I'm going to show you my version 2. This is my 4-3-3 system. It's very generic, very basic. It suits my players, to be honest. Now the inverted wing back here could be a wing back on support DT. I kind of put him here because I had somebody that was going to be a bit more adventurous playing on this side. So normally this guy is actually going to be a wing back on attack or a wing back on support DT. That's because the player that I have here is Park Myung-jin. He's a very good wing back on automatic or wing back on attack. You can see the crossing, dribbling, marking is quite good, so he can basically do anything that I want him to do. That's why I kind of selected every role like this. You can see one central defender on defend DT, and then under is a ball playing defender. No instructions for any of them, but I wanted to score 11-0 in the game with this, and I think that kind of helped because I had a deep lying forward on attack. What the deep lying forward does is actually drop into space like this and then allow for the inside forward or even the advanced playmaker. Often this is also an inside forward on attack. These players are actually going to get into the box and create a lot of chances. And yeah, that's basically how we're able to do it. Advanced playmaker support is also good. Deep lying forward on attack with a complete or a central midfielder on attack going to get up there. And if you look at our team instructions, all we had was just basic positive team instructions and then fairly narrow. This is normally fairly wide, I think. So you can just have that on fairly narrow if you want. The reason why I put it on fairly narrow is because your wide players, inside forwards and APs may be too wide if you're playing fairly wide. So having it on fairly narrow just brings them a lot closer to the striker and brings everybody close. And I think, well, for the 4-3-3 system, it helps to play fairly narrow, to be honest, because your players may be too far. In transition, we didn't really change much, just counter and counter press. Goalkeeper could do whatever he wanted. And out of possession, you can see much higher defensive line, high press, get stuck in. That's because nobody has any team instruction or any player instruction selected. Yeah, and that was it.